Our lead this hour coming from the Twin Cities and NFC North slobber knocker. The Packers and the Vikings locking horns in Minneapolis. Did you watch? Were you checking this out? Perhaps not. Minnesota, led by their stud receiver. Greatest Viking since Randy Moss. Justin Jefferson flummoxed Green Bay. 184 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. A record-setting type of performance early in that game, first half. And the Vikings get a win in Kevin O'Connell's debut, 23-7. The final, Kirk Cousins. Standard issue from Kirk Cousins, 277 yards. He did not have a turnover, so that's a bit of a surprise. And he threw to Jefferson early and often, and why wouldn't you? I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, you got a good player like that. What are you doing? You throw the ball, make them stop you, and it's not like it's a secret. And so that's exactly what the Viking game plan was. It worked out very well. As you look at the box score, 11 targets to Jefferson, 32 attempts passing from Cousins. But the better story here is in the losing locker room. The Green Bay Packers, it's like their birthright to have a great team every year with Aaron Rodgers, and they go out there and they stumble in the opener. That's the story. We'll get to the Vikings in a minute. But the question, all right, how concerned should the Packers be about losing by 16 points in the opener against the Minnesota division rival? So I've got recipe book, yellow label, and blueprints. And we'll put all of these random things together, and we're going to make the Juicy Lucy is what we're going to make. The Juicy, that's the burger with the cheese in it. So when I go to Minnesota, I'm excited to meet my friends in Minnesota, but I'm more excited about the Juicy Lucy, like an authentic local delicacy. Anyway, all right, so first of all, Green Bay has gotten off to slow starts before. You might remember way back last season when they opened up against the Saints. That game was shifted because of a hurricane, bad weather, and they moved that game to Jacksonville, and they were gobsmacked, 38-3 in the opener. And we know that the Packers turned the ship around in the Green Bay rather quickly. So you can't write the eulogy yet on the Pack attack after one game. You can't do it because they've proven that they can have a bad start, and they've bounced out of that pretty quick. Nevertheless, at the same time, you can't just dismiss what we watched in this particular game. It feels different. It feels different. Now, last year you said it felt different then, but there are storm clouds a-brewing around Green Bay, and it's pretty early for the storm clouds to be brewing around Green Bay. Davante Adams is not walking through that door. He's not. Aaron Rodgers has to update the recipe book, and he's going to have to make chicken salad out of chicken feathers. He's more than capable of doing it. It is the quarterback that makes the receiver and not vice versa, but we have maintained for years that is the case, but you got to go out and get it done. No excuses. Right? Patrick Mahomes lost his bestie in Tyreek Hill, and the Chiefs were on the warpath there in Arizona, dominating. Big favorites on the road, the Cardinals, a team that was a playoff team last year, and Kansas City put up 44 points, had 488 yards of offense in that game. But in this game, Aaron Rodgers against the Vikings, he averaged 5.7 yards per pass, which is bad. 7's average. 8's good. Anything over 8, really good. 5.7 below average. 4 sacks. Less than 65% completion percentage. For Aaron Rodgers, that's pretty low. It's pretty low. The interception. All right, now the devil's advocate argument is, well, yeah, but what about the receiver that dropped the touchdown pass? What about that? Okay, I got it. But that's why they play the games. That's why you've got to make the plays. And 5 weeks from now, no one's going to remember that. Hell, 2 days from now, tomorrow, no one's going to remember. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow somebody will remember the fact that there was a picture-perfect throw by Aaron Rodgers that had you had a competent receiver on the other end, you would have gotten a 75-yard pass play touchdown.
Relax.
But you didn't get that. I'm told Rodgers was so upset, he in the locker room, he went to get some ayahuasca at halftime. He was that upset. He was devastated by the, You hate to see it. And he gave the look of death. He had the Medusa look. Did you see the look? He gave the Medusa. He gave him the Medusa. Yeah. Watson is his name. Catching footballs is not his game. Now, page 2. How can Green Bay solve its clear blank spot receiver woes? How can they solve their receiver woes? Now, so obviously the obvious answer would be just don't suck at a time you cannot suck, which is if the pass is right there, catch it. But I would advise to read the yellow label. What is the yellow label? Highly combustible situation. Okay, highly combustible situation. It's like mixing bleach and ammonia. It creates a toxic gas. It does not go well. Aaron Rodgers did not have Alan Lazard, and he was inactive, and that's supposed to be his new bestie. That's supposed to be his safety blanket, Alan Lazard. I think you'd be better off with a lizard, but we'll find out. We'll find out about that. And in his absence, you had Sammy Watkins, Randall Cobb, Christian Watson, the guy that dropped the 75-yard touchdown play, Romeo Dobbs. They are the top receivers. How did they do? That was a demoralizing, disheartening, and disgusting performance. A.J. Dillon was the leading pass catcher with 5 receptions for Green Bay. Rodgers was checking down because guys either were not getting open or he didn't trust when they did get open, he would throw him the ball. But to me, the big bugaboo, and I got no dog in the fight on this one, as Michael Vick would say, but the big bugaboo is with Watkins, Sammy Watkins, and Cobb. Those are the veterans. They're supposed to be the lead dogs, the alpha dogs, and all that. And instead, they were the epitome of washed up. 5 catches, 32 yards between them. So what do the Packers do now? Well, they obviously go back to work on Tuesday. They'll be off on Monday, I would think. Maybe watch some film. But they streamline the offense. That'd be a good place to start. The good news is the Packers have the perfect cure. Perfect cure here for what woes them. Placebo, if you will. The Bears at Lambeau. And Alan Lazard should be back. And so you would assume those two things will provide opportunity for Green Bay to click into hyperspeed. All right, final thought. So are the Vikings on the other side? Are the Vikings for real? Well, that is a premature condition. I am not ready to anoint the Vikings are for real, but that's a really nice opening scene in the movie. It's a really good opening scene. Now, I've seen some movies that you like at the beginning, and then you're like, oh, this is a false open. It's a false opening scene. I've seen that too. But from Kevin O'Connell's perspective, another one of these disciples of Sean McVay, he's got his blueprints. He's got his blueprints out. It's a construction project, and this game was a building block. The Lions and Bears are bad teams. I realize the Bears beat the Niners, but that's more about Trey Lance and the Niners offense doing nothing all day and blaming the weather. Can you imagine that? I'm sure there'll be no bad weather down the line in the postseason or anything like that they'll have to deal with. I'm sure. Yeah, it'll all be perfect. All domes, no outdoor games, nothing. Anyway, listen, the Vikings are the best and really only chance to dethrone Green Bay. So from a confident standpoint, there's no such thing as momentum, but from a confident standpoint, that is a feather in the cap for O'Connell and Kirk Cousins. This is the largest margin of victory over the Packers for the Vikings with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. So this is the gold standard is what it is. And it's McVay disciple versus McVay disciple. Matt LaFleur versus O'Connell.